Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back in with another video, and this is going to be the LEGO Star Wars MOC Showcase, episode 12. This is a series I've created to highlight some of the best MOCs that I've come across on the internet. If you find any of the MOCs in this video impressive, all I ask is that you go to the links included in the description and support the builder by giving them a like, comment, or even a follow. The first MOC we'll take a look at today is a Battle on Takodana MOC by a builder by the name of Witz, and I really love the detail put into the ground on this MOC. I think that's really where this MOC shines, and there are just such a variety and diverse array of pieces used to create the ruins that are essentially left of Maz's castle, and I think it really does work for this MOC. So I feel that when you first look at this, your eyes are probably instantly drawn to up front where he has those trans clear plates to kind of, I guess, recreate the water that would pull up to the shore of Takodana, which actually looks really nice. I feel this is becoming a more and more common theme on this channel, or specifically these videos, with me pointing out how people are using these minifigure limb pieces as detail parts, and it certainly works here. It's no different. You can see that there's a bunch of like black hand pieces sticking out of like rubble and burnt trees on that front area. There's actually a bigger tree that's kind of laying down on fire to the right side of the MOC up on the platform, and he has like minifigure arms coming off of that as well. I feel like, I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys are used to seeing it, but to me it's that's not a technique that I often see, so it seems like it's been like a really well kept secret from me, seeing as like now that I've really started looking into this MOC, it's popping up so much. But I feel like I appreciate it every single time. It really does look quite nice. The other thing I like about this MOC is the use of color. I mean, the ground and the ruins are mostly dark gray, but there's some dark tan thrown in there as well, and I think that there's just a good balance between them. It just looks like, it just looks correct. Like there aren't really too many colors that kind of break up the flow of the MOC. Like there's bits and spurts of dark brown in there as well, but I really do like the color choices made for this MOC in general. I think that the fire details actually look really nice. When it comes to fire with Lego, I think that's something that you kind of have to think about, especially with the placement of it. It's not something that you can just kind of set up and then it just works. I think it's really something that you have to put a lot of thought into, and the various areas where there's like trees or branches on fire in this MOC, I think actually look really nice, and it is definitely a positive for this MOC. And I think that just the color from the fire as well kind of breaks up a lot of the other darker colors that are in this MOC. Like it's obviously mostly dark gray, and then there's the dark tan as well, but having the bursts of color kind of spliced into across the MOC, I think actually makes a pretty big difference. Of course, the main part of the MOC is the big duel between Finn and TR-8R, or I think it's FN-2199 is his technical name. But you can see that the builder actually came up with a custom baton to, I guess, kind of replicate what it's supposed to look like. And I'm honestly not entirely sure how I feel about it. I think that I would have appreciated some blue in there. I think that would have, I don't know, just made it look a little bit more accurate. But I can appreciate them from kind of at least trying to make something that resembles at least the shape of the baton more closely to Lego's version, which I feel doesn't really like look like the extended baton. So I can appreciate them for at least attempting that. One of the other interesting things about that figure that I noticed is there's like a rubber band around the Stormtrooper's neck, which is kind of interesting. My best guess would be that it's meant to like hide the flesh tone skin under it, which makes sense. Like if you look at a Stormtrooper, a First Order Stormtrooper, you can't really see the like skin tone of their neck, so I can kind of understand why you would want to do that. I think that I would be remiss if I didn't mention a lot of the ground details that he put into this at the upper part of the platform. Like as we zoom in right here, you can see that there is just a variety of pieces used on the ground, whether it be those like crate pieces on their side. There's like the telephone pieces right beside them. Over to the left side, you can see that there's some arches, and then looks like some inverted dish pieces put in there as well to kind of fill in the circle that the arches create. So that's all really, really good in my opinion. I like that quite a lot. I think the archway over to the left actually looks really nice. I always love it when people take the arch piece, like you can see at the top, and you like put plates in it to get kind of a rounded shape at the top of it. It's not a very straightforward thing to explain, but I think if you look at it for long enough, you'll get exactly what I'm saying. But the details in that actually look really cool, and I'm guessing that that's not supposed to be the wherever Kylo was standing. I think the door that Kylo walks through on this was up, like elevated on something, but it would have been maybe in a cool addition to get some pictures of that little archway with Kylo standing in it. But all in all, this is just, I think, a wonderfully designed MOC. Once again, it really does not matter the size of a MOC you do, even with something like this. I mean, this can't be any more than like a 48 by 48 base plate, but there is just so much detail packed into it. I can literally talk about the details on this thing for at least like an hour, because there's just so many little parts of it that are creative uses of pieces. And all in all, I like this MOC a lot. Like when I review these vignettes, it really just makes me wonder, like what am I doing? Like why don't I do more vignettes to have around in my room? Because clearly you can make some really stunning scenes built with these Lego bricks on a relatively small MOC size. So wonderful job, Carter. Next MOC is by a builder named Jellyeater, and it is called The Last Kiss, which I like this idea of a MOC so much because I feel like it's not something we see too often. If you're not really familiar with what you're looking at, this is essentially a scene of Anakin's little, his home, like, or a cluster of homes rather, on Tatooine, specifically in Mos Espa, and this is, you know, his last encounter with his mom before he is taken by the Jedi off to train to become one. And I really like this MOC not only because of the way it's built, and we can get into that, but specifically because I don't feel this is something you see very often. As someone who really dreams of doing the pottery MOC one day, it's cool to see someone do a MOC of like another area of Mos Espa. Most people, when they do a Tatooine MOC, they immediately go to Mos Eisley, and understandably so, but I feel like Mos Espa has a lot to offer for a Lego build, and this builder has clearly shown us that. So diving into the actual build, I like the fact that he has the masonry bricks kind of interspersed throughout the MOC to create just to break up a lot of the monotony of just having flat bricks. I mean, I just love masonry bricks for that reason. They really help you get across things that are kind of like built out of stone and whatnot, and this MOC is certainly no exception to it. I have to, of course, mention the cheese slopes that are kind of really just piled around the foreground of this photo. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Like, it's definitely an interesting technique. My guess is the builder, like the MOC itself was probably freeform, and the builder just kind of wanted to fill in a lot of the front of it, so they threw the cheese slopes around. And I mean, it's interesting to say the least. Like, I've never seen anyone do sand like that, so that's a technique to consider if you're wanting to build something like that. I think that the aesthetic of the little huts that they live in actually looks really cool. And one of the cool things about them is like each door kind of has a unique design to it, which I find kind of interesting. I'm not really sure if that's how it looks in the film, but I mean, I'll give them credit for making those doors look interesting. I think my favorite one is probably the one, if you look like dead in the middle. I can actually zoom in right now, where it uses basically like a slope and reverse slope. It's the slope reverse slope technique to kind of get that diagonal line going through it, and I feel it really just gives the illusion that the door would kind of split open, similar to what we see with like doors on the Death Star. It's a very Star Warsy looking door aesthetic, so I definitely appreciate that. If you look up to the top right corner, he has a cape kind of, I'm guessing it might even be sitting, like the neck holes might be sitting in studs to kind of keep it stable, but it's kind of used as like a, I don't know, like a patio covering type thing, like tarp almost. I don't know. I like it though. I like it when people use fabric pieces with MOCs like this, especially in an area like Tatooine, where I feel we see so many uses of fabric, whether it be over a hut or, like in this example, covering someone's patio. So I actually think that looks really nice. The moisture evaporator sitting up front looks really good as well. I feel like I've seen so many builds of these things and it never gets old. It's like an iconic looking piece of Star Wars machinery, and this one is definitely no different. So if you guys are trying to spice up your MOCs by adding in background details, moisture evaporator definitely can help. I know I mentioned the variety of the doors earlier, but I also need to mention the variety of the like little keypads that actually give you access to the doors. Now, most of them are those like typical 1x1 printed tile panel pieces, but I mean, there's just a variety of like different 1x1 printed tiles to kind of recreate like the console that one might use to get into their home, which I think makes sense. Like I can imagine on Tatooine, maybe you buy your house and you want to upgrade your security system and have a fancy like pin pad or whatever, and I don't know, that's kind of cool. It's something that I imagine the builder just kind of used to spice up the MOC, but it really does kind of pique your imagination with, you know, like how might these people actually live, what might they actually use those things for. So I think that actually is really, really cool. And then the final thing I wanted to mention about the MOC is I really like just the random details kind of sitting around out front of the houses. Like the one that really draws your attention is the big brown wheel with the sticks kind of protruding from it. I literally have no idea what that might be. It could be like access to water, I don't know, but it looks cool, it fits right in. And there's like crates sitting outside as well, might be some sort of like garbage handling system. And there's just various details kind of sitting all around the MOC that I think really give you the vibes of most Espa. So I love this MOC so much. This is definitely something I would like to build at some point. Whether or not I incorporate it into the Pod Race MOC, who knows, but it's a cool idea. It's not something you see too often, so wonderful job on this MOC. This next MOC is one I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time, and it is apparently an AA9 Jendirian Valley, which I really just know as the shuttle that Anakin and Padme take to Naboo in episode 2 when they have their romantic escapades. So this guy is Gamabomb. He's the one who actually made that shuttle from one of the previous MOC showcase videos, the one that the Jedi take to I think Naboo, once again, at the end of The Phantom Menace. So this guy clearly likes building shuttles that go to Naboo. That's a pretty good niche to be building in. But I love this thing so much. For one, the build looks awesome, but it's one of those ships that like I notice in the films, like it clearly doesn't get a lot of screen time, but I really do like the design of it. So I'd say it's relatively obscure, but I'm happy that we have builders out there fighting the good fight, building those obscure ships for us. So if we actually go on to the next picture, because there's actually a few play features in this build. I feel like it's kind of designed to be like a Lego set, and I think that just makes it all the more awesome. So on the next picture, looks like we get a look at like a cockpit area. He's even designed 2 pilots to be in there, and there's even like a little compartment for an astro droid. My guess is that would probably be like one of the main service astro droids for the ship, so I can definitely appreciate that. One of the cool things about the ship also on that right side of this picture is just the greebling on the back actually looks fantastic. I'm not sure how many views we even get of this build for him to make those greebles accurate, but I don't care. They look really good. I think the use of those black foam pieces works really well. In fact, I'm honestly not even sure that those are actual pieces that exist in that color. Either way, the build looks awesome from behind, and I can always appreciate that. If we go on to the third picture, we can see that there are a variety of rooms in this build as well. So looks like you can lift up the room where Anakin and Padme are sitting. And I mean, I guess on the actual ship, this would not actually be a room. They were kind of sitting around a bunch of other people, but I can appreciate a play feature added into a build like this. It actually looks pretty sweet. When I find like a Lego playset, these are the types of things that I'm looking for, like little compartments, little rooms that I can use to populate the ship or the build with minifigures. That's always what I'm looking for. On the right side, looks like we have R2 hanging out somewhere. I'm guessing might be trying to get some food in line. Unfortunately, they don't serve droids on this ship, among many other places in the Star Wars universe. It's a very sad state of affairs. Droids need to rise up. L3. Anyways, one of the other cool things about this ship is like the retractable landing gear. You can see at the bottom of the photo, looks like they actually literally just pop out from like the main body of the ship, and the ship has functional landing gear. That's one of those things that you honestly don't see super often when it comes to MOCs or Lego builds like this, but I can appreciate this builder for incorporating it. If we move on to the final picture, there's just a really nice photo of Anakin and Padme making their way through the city, and you can see over to the right side, the droids are loading up the ship with cargo. One of the things that's very clear about this build, it's a render. I'm guessing that a lot of those parts aren't available in those colors, but I would certainly love to see the builder at least attempt to make this thing happen in real life. Probably would have to substitute some colors, but I just love the design of this shuttle so much, especially with the fact that they've included so many play features, namely the compartments for the Jedi to be in. Looks like there's also a compartment to like put the luggage in as well, and like the landing gear. This thing is just all around so freaking cool. I know this is a shit that LEGO would probably never sell because most people probably don't even know it exists, but I really do like the way it looks. And man, this guy has done it once again with these obscure shuttles. I love that he builds these things. I really want these things in my own collection. The final build we're going to take a look at today is by Darth Bjorn, and it is essentially a custom Cantina. You can see that from those two hologram billboards up top. It gives a lot of vibes from like Coruscant, which I love. I'll never get tired of seeing MOCs like this because Coruscant's just such a cool planet. I love Coruscant. It's one of my favorite planets in all of Star Wars. So this builder really just taking a lot of creative liberties, especially with those custom, they might be stickers, it might be custom printed, I don't know. They look cool though. The like hologram boards, I think makes a huge difference for this MOC. But if we go on to the next picture, we really just get a better pulled back view of what this thing actually looks like. And man, it's just so freaking cool. If we go over to the left side, we can see there's like this big satellite contraption. It really, I mean, it's like a good balance between kind of being constructed from random pieces, but still resembling something recognizable. I don't know. It looks like something that would make sense to be there. So I like it quite a bit. And I think the use of those like threaded string pieces and even the ones with those like bars in them as well looks really cool. It looks like there's just tons of like pipes and strings going all over this MOC, and I always say this, but I think that it makes your MOCs look a lot more dynamic. So I can appreciate whenever a builder gets to use that. Even over the main entrance of the build, there's one of those little tart pieces from I think the Jakku set, the Assault on Jakku set. So that's kind of cool as well. And there's actually, I guess, a story behind this build. If you want to check it out, like definitely check out his Flickr and look at the captions he included for all these photos, because it's actually quite interesting. I'm not going to get too much into it here, but it's definitely, I think, worth taking a look at. Also out front, you can see there's like a gate on the bottom left corner that is comprised of literally just chain pieces, and I like that a lot. I'm honestly surprised that I've never seen that, and it looks like it just makes so much sense. Like, why don't more people make gates like that? I don't know, but he did it, and I think it looks like really good. So we move on to the next picture. We can take a look at the inside of the Cantina, and of course we have our dancing Twi'leks, because what is entertainment in Star Wars without a dancing Twi'lek? But I love this really because to me it looks like something straight out of Knights of the Old Republic. Like, it obviously I think it all kind of harkens back to the original Cantina that we see, especially with just the shape of the General Bart area. But this one, you know, it's not on Tatooine, it's in a more urban environment, and I think that really gives me KOTOR vibes. And especially having it decorated with so many diverse types of aliens. Like, if you just take a look back and you look at every individual person in this MOC, like, looks like a lot of attention to detail was paid to the inhabitants of this Cantina. So I definitely appreciate that. One of the actual really cool things I like about this MOC is the little seating section up to the top right corner. You can see that he's using some profile bricks, or masonry bricks actually, but turned around to the side where there's just like the straight line going through it to make the couches, and I think that actually looks pretty cool. I also do like the flex tubing used as the handrail to keep people from falling off. That's not something we see too often in Star Wars. I don't know what it is about these people and not having handrails, so it's always nice when safety is clearly a concern in the Star Wars universe. We go on to the next picture, we get a better pulled back view of this, like the inside of the Cantina. And once again, I mean, it just looks so vast in there. Like, I think that when you can populate a MOC with diverse looking figures, that just adds so much to it. Like, I think if this place was just empty and you were just kind of observing it, it wouldn't look nearly as good as it does with all of the diverse figures in there. So even if you have a MOC and like the build isn't mind-blowing, I mean, I think this is actually a really nice build, but the minifigure placement and the diversity of minifigures can actually take your build up that much more. So that's something to consider. Also, one of the things worth noting is actually like the build of the bar where the inside of the Cantina actually looks really good. I like the use of those like wall element pieces, and really just sitting the like drinks kind of in there, like the bottles or whatever. Clearly they're not connected to anything, but it's a nice shelf, I guess, technique. So I actually really appreciate that. And then if you look at the door that kind of leads to the bar over to the right side, that's a really nice design as well. I feel like whenever I'm designing doors, I like kind of doing that technique where it's rounded at the bottom and rounded at the top. That's like a classic sci-fi look. So I appreciate that he decided to incorporate that into this MOC. But really, that's all I have to say for this MOC. I mean, I think it's just incredible. I think that it really does pique my imagination. Like, there's something to be said for these MOCs where it's not really based on anything recognizable, but when you look at it, you kind of can envision what would be going on here. And I think that's one of the very special things about MOCs, especially to me, whether it be with something you can recognize, it kind of makes you visualize the scene that happened there, and you start remembering things, and it may evoke certain emotions that you felt when watching those scenes, or when it comes to something that you don't recognize, but you can kind of understand what's going on, and you're you know, I guess making educated guesses into the universe and trying to figure out why the builder made certain decisions about the way things are built. And I don't know, it's just a really good time in my opinion. All in all, I love this build so much. This is probably the first build I've done as like the premiere MOC, or the one of the last MOCs that I talk about in one of these videos that isn't really based on anything recognizable, but I certainly think it deserves it because of just how freaking cool it is. So definitely let me know what you guys think about this one. Darth Bjorn, you did a wonderful job once again. And that's going to finish up the video today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed checking out these wonderful MOCs with me. All I ask is that after watching this video, if you found any of these MOCs impressive, just go support the builders. The links to the builds are in the description. Let them know about the wonderful work they've done. They certainly deserve it. If you like what I do, make sure you go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.